Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavad Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grasitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Sandadami Bhagavat Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramo Panishadaihi Gayantiyam Samagaha Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidusura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Since last 3 years, we are discussing here the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It is called the Karma Yoga, where Lord Krishna teaches how to make karma our day-to-day action, how to make it a source of happiness for us. What we are seeking in life is one simple thing: to be happy. And usually a human being seeks happiness for what he thinks are the objects of happiness, the objects of senses, emotions, intellect, ego, name, fame, recognition. These are recognized to be the means of happiness, sources of happiness. But it is everybody's experience that you have to pay a greater price. We often do not recognize what price we have to pay for getting that small quantum of happiness from the sense of pleasures. Lord Krishna says later, Ye samsparshaja bhogaha dukkhayona evate. Here you do not recognize that the happiness, the pleasure that comes from these sense objects, when sense organs contact the objects of the world, the pleasure that comes is the source of all sorrow. Dukkhayona evate. Nateshu ramate buddha. No intelligent person dwells into the happiness that he thinks comes from the sense pleasures or the objects of the world in general, which includes, of course, name, fame, the happiness that seems to come from there. Dukkhayonaya. Lord Krishna says all of them are the source of sorrow. Because unfortunately, the human being is seeking happiness where it is not. We think happiness is in wealth, name, fame, sense pleasures, and other pleasures. But that is what we feel, that's not what really it is. Bhagavad Gita says, Vedanta also teaches, that one who is seeking happiness is himself happiness. You are happiness, I am happiness. Everyone is happiness by nature. And therefore our self is the true and only source of happiness. The happiness that seems to come from anything other than myself is more an appearance rather than reality. And therefore that whole pursuit ultimately turns into nothing but sorrow. So how to be happy? How to become happy in our life? That's all that concerns us. Even God also are of secondary concern. Of primary concern in our life is happiness. And happiness is nature of my own self. So how to tap happiness from our own self? This is the whole teaching. The attempt to tap or gain happiness from things other than myself, I am ignoring, even disrespecting, even insulting my own self, which is the nature of happiness. How to respect myself? How to discover a harmony with myself so that I can be happy with myself? Because that is true happiness, which is also accompanied with freedom, with independence. Happiness coming with dependence, that's called conditional happiness. If I depend upon you to make me happy, then I must satisfy the conditions so that you are pleased with me, happy with me. So that is what we are doing all the time, trying to please the world, so that the world will make me happy. How to please myself? How to create harmony with myself so that I become the source of happiness for myself. This is the secret that Vedanta teaches. It is a secret, but it's something that a human being has never thought. That I can be happiness that I'm seeking is myself, is something that never occurs to me. Because whenever I'm with myself, I become uncomfortable with myself. Usually my experience is, I'm not comfortable with myself. When I'm left to myself, I become agitated, in fact. Become restless very often, and more often than not, I try to escape from myself. Lots of our activities are nothing but escaping from myself. That seems to be the pattern in our life. When we busy ourselves with various social media, etc. Just how to occupy myself so that I don't have to confront myself. Because concluded that I am not all right as I am. I'm not happy with myself. I don't accept myself. I don't respect myself. Many of us are suffering from low self-esteem because we are not able to live up to our own expectation. So this is how the human life is. There is an undercurrent of discomfort with myself, an undercurrent of dissatisfaction with myself. And therefore, a rejection of myself very often. So the Bhagavad Gita teaches how to reverse that whole trend. How do we live our life so that we can progressively discover comfort and happiness from our own self? If I am comfortable with myself, if I am satisfied with myself, then I don't need anything else. If I myself am the source of happiness for myself, I am comfortable with myself, happy with myself, then I will find that I am comfortable with everything else also. When I become happy with myself, I become comfortable with myself, I find that I am comfortable with everything else. More comfortable I am with myself, more comfortable I am with the things in my life. And then Bhagavad Gita teaches the way of life of how to discover, how to progressively discover that self-comfort, self-satisfaction, harmony with myself, happiness with myself, and thus discovering independence or freedom in my life. That is called freedom. That's called independence. When I am independent in being happy. When I am not dependent upon anything other than myself to be happy, that's called independence. That's called freedom. So you can say I am seeking happiness or seeking freedom. Or the same thing. How to become free? How to become happy? Which is what I am constantly struggling anyway. So the Bhagavad Gita teaches this. The third chapter that we are discussing is called Karma Yoga. How to perform karma, how to do our day-to-day activity, how to live our day-to-day life so that my life becomes a source of happiness for me. I don't need anything other than myself to be happy, really. Ideally, I do not need anything other than myself to be happy. Of course, I do not need anything other than myself be unhappy also. I'm enough to be unhappy. I'm enough to be happy. Right now, I'm the source of unhappiness, and I have to make myself the source of happiness. The transformation has to be brought about. Bring about a self-transformation, so that presently when I am the source of unhappiness for myself, how to become source of happiness? That inner transformation is what the Gita teaches. And for that the means is very simple. No big yoga and samadhi etc. is required. Lord Krishna makes it very simple. Of course, yoga, pranayama, samadhi, everything is wonderful, nothing wrong in that. You can have them. But that will all icing on the cake when you have this one. When you live life correctly, all those things then become the icing and they become all blessings. Lord Krishna teaches karma yoga, where the word yoga means the yoga of attitude. Usually, of course, we understand yoga as a means of samadhi, as self-absorption. But karma also can become a means of samadhi or self-absorption, so it's called karma yoga. That samadhi or self-absorption, what is that state? What is the state of samadhi? When I am completely comfortable with myself. When I am completely comfortable with myself, when my mind is free from all the conflicts and restlessness, then I abide in myself. So karma yoga, karma also can become a means of progressively abiding in myself, so that I enjoy even what they call yoga or samadhi. Because when I live the life in keeping with the basic values of life, harmony of life, then there is harmony in my mind. Then I am comfortable with myself. And samadhi is the total comfort with myself. When I live a life which is contrary to the basic harmony, basic law, there cannot be happiness, there cannot be freedom, there cannot be peace. If I do not enjoy peace with myself, I have to look at myself whether am I living life correctly or not? Swami, what do you mean by living life correctly? Living life correctly is very simple. Having the basic values and attitudes in my life. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita teaches the basic values and attitudes. And karma means our day-to-day activities. Karma also can be translated as duty. Duty means what I am supposed to do. What is the right thing for me to do? Duty is what is right in a given situation. Swami, how do I know what is right and wrong? If you look at our life as playing variety of roles, which is what we are doing from morning till evening, is playing variety of roles. And when there is a role, there is a script in the play, in the drama. When actors play different roles, they play those roles according to a script. In the play, the actor does not have the freedom to do what he wants. The actor does not have freedom to talk what he wants, say what he wants, do. He has to conform to the script. Is it not so? Otherwise there will be chaos. If he says what he wants, then there will be chaos. Like in the olden days, we were watching his Ram Leela. Some fellow becomes Hanuman, somebody becomes Rama, somebody becomes Ravana, and that at night. But during the day, there are ordinary people, they have their own relationship and all these things going on. If the fellow has become Hanuman and the fellow has become Rama, during the day have fought with each other. Sometimes that is also carried forward in their play. So in Ram Leela also, this fellow, the Hanuman, because angry and therefore he says anything to Rama during that Ram Leela. Then they do bring down the curtain. So it is necessary that when we are in the play, we have to conform to the script. The Hanuman cannot say what he wants to say. After this is over, then he can say whatever he wants to do. We can settle the account afterwards, but not that time. During the day, there is some conflict and some account is not settled. You can't settle the account during the Ram Leela. You can't have your gada, and hit. So playing a role according to script requires that I should keep my emotions under control. Is it not so? My mind may react and may want me to do something, but I have to keep it under check and do what is right. So we may say that in every situation, there are two things: what I like and what is right. Hanuman, given the choice, would have hit Rama with Gada because of what happened during the day. What is right is he should fall at the feet of Rama. What is right and what I like. Very often these things are different. What I like is not often what is right. Like when the lunch is being served to me, what is right for me, depending upon my constitution, depending upon my blood sugar, etc., what is right is one thing, and what I like may be different thing. If I have hypertension, what I like is one thing, the bhujia, etc., and what is right is a different thing. Almost in every situation, what is right is one thing, what I like is likely to be different from what is right. If they are the same, no problem. This Karala, bitter gourd. You must have heard that story of our Puja Swamiji many, many years ago. He did not like this Karala, he did not like bitter gourd because it's bitter. And Puja Swamiji had a series of talks in Delhi many years ago. Those days, talks used to be 15 days, mornings and evenings, and Swami would be invited for lunch and dinner and breakfast. First evening, after the evening discourse, Swami was invited for dinner at a Punjabi home. And they are very fond of making this Karala, bitter gourd. Swami did not like bitter gourd. But a sadhu cannot say, I don't like something. You are supposed to like everything. But his policy was, deal with the unpleasant first. Deal with the unpleasant first. So that you are left with the pleasant later on. So various dishes are served. This bitter gourd, sabji is one of them. So Swami said, let me finish that first so that I can eat the rest of the dinner nicely. He finished that Kerala first. The hostess was watching. Oh, Swami seems to like Kerala. And in India, they don't wait to ask whether you want something. They just simply dump things in your plate. Here the ways they were asked, may I serve this? There, she simply served. Now what can you say? So again, the same policy, deal with the unpleasant first. Second time also, Swami finished at Kerala. Third serving also came. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop there. Next day, Swami goes for lunch somewhere. So that hostess asked this hostess, what does Swami like? What did he eat in your home? Oh, Swami loves Kerala. So next day lunch, Kerala is waiting for Swami. Again he finishes first, second, three. So everywhere Swami would go, three, not one, three helpings of Kerala. 15 days, imagine. But at the end he started liking Kerala. In the beginning, what was right was one thing, what he liked was different thing. But the rule is that if you keep on doing what is right, even if you do not like, if you keep on doing what is right, a day will come when what is right is what you like. That's how human mind is. So this is what a simple thing is taught in Karma Yoga, just to simplify. Then in every situation there is this choice between what is right and what I like. And this is the conflict that only human being has, by the way. Other creatures do not have the free will, so they don't have this conflict. They always do what is right. Animals eat what is right, they drink what is right, they do what is right, as determined by their nature. But human being has free will, and therefore he can make a choice. It's likely that he may choose something which is not right because of his fancy or what he likes. So we have these likes and dislikes. We'll talk about that later. And therefore, this Karma Yoga, the very simple way of understanding Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga is performing karma with yoga with the right attitude. Performing karma with the attitude of what is right rather than what you like. It's quite likely in the beginning, what is right is what you may not like. So this was a conflict Arjuna had, by the way. This is a basic conflict that the Bhagavad Gita is addressing, what is right and what I like. Right at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, before the battle started, when Arjuna saw his relatives, near and dear ones in both the armies, it is very clear to Arjuna that by the time the war ends, nobody will survive. He knew that. Both the armies were very powerful. There were great warriors in both the armies. So almost certain that nobody will survive. Which means that all these near and dear ones will all die. So his emotion took over him. How can I kill my near and dear ones? So now conflict between what is right and what he liked. What he liked is that I do not want to fight. So that he doesn't have to confront the situation of the death of all these near and dear ones. What is right is, as a Kshatriya, he is to fight the battle. So you can say that the Bhagavad Gita begins with this conflict. A choice between what is right and what I like and what is right. So you can say that Karma Yoga is simply living life, doing what is right. Sounds very simple, is it not so? But unfortunately, as the verse number 34 on the 5th page says, on this handout, oh, you don't have a handout, you have to depend upon this, yeah. Just show them the verse 34. That is in this scene, this further. Fifth page, page number 5. Oh, you have different. Verse number 34. This is verse number 14. Proceed further.
Ravi.
Okay, you have a different thing?
This is what I got it from Ravi.
Huh?
This is what I got from Ravi.
You got from Ravi?
34.
Actually, you don't have it?
Tomorrow I can print. I can do. We can print tomorrow.
All right, no problem.
They can just repeat after you maybe today.
So this is all you have? This many verses?
No, yeah.
Okay. So a question then arose, what is the reason why people are not doing what is right? That very often we know what is right and still we are not able to do. So you don't have that verse now, how we are going to discuss that. Alright, so Let's quickly look at the verses that we have, and then tomorrow you'll have the. So start from the beginning. Show the first verse that you have. Okay. Right. So this verse is, lift a little bit so they can see the whole verse. थोड़ा नीचे कर. Okay. Okay, it stops like that. So here in this verse, Lord Krishna says, and then, all right, see the first line, Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam. This verse says, Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam. Here Arjuna, Tvam Niyatam Karma Kuru. Karma Kuru, perform the action. Niyatam, what is right for you. Okay. Yes, good, very good.
Excuse me, Swamiji. Very clear for us anyway because of the lighting, so it's all right if we use it.
No, now this, yeah.
Okay.
You can read this, isn't it? Are you able to read this?
Very visible, no. Not from this needy from the light. Behind light. The lighting behind us. Because of the way the lighting is.
Uh-huh. That may be difficult, okay. Okay, no, don't worry. Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam. This verse says, Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam. Tvam Niyatam Karma Kuru. Do you perform action that is right for you? Niyatam. Lord Krishna says here, that recognize that as a human being, you have a certain place in the scheme of things. There is a scheme of things in the world. And each one of us has a place in scheme of things. See, if we observe the world around us, we find that everything is interconnected. Nobody is independent. I depend upon you and you depend upon me to live the life. I require space, air, fire, water, earth, food, water. I require sun and moon and earth and the whole universe I require in order for me to live my life. So we find that our life is possible because we enjoy the help or the support from the rest of the universe. The sun gives light and enables me to see things. The earth supports me, gives me the food and nourishment. This every element of the universe contributes in my life. If we really look at it closely, that everything, including everything, has a contribution in my life. So Lord Krishna has recognized this fact that you are what you are on account of the contribution that the rest of the world makes in your life. This is a very important thing to recognize. That look, your parents and ancestors have contributed in your life. May you have a sense of gratitude towards them. The elements of nature are contributing to your life. May you have a gratitude or sense, for them. Recognize their contribution, and that recognition will create in you a sense of gratitude. The teachers and the sages of the past and present all have contributed and continue to contribute in the storehouse of knowledge in your life. Other human beings in society also have a contribution in your life. Like the farmers contribute, even a postman contributes, a teacher contributes, every other human being contributes directly or indirectly in your life. Recognize this whole chain of interconnectedness, where I am what I am on account of the contribution that the whole universe makes to me, and I am able to live my life again on account of the contribution that the universe is making towards me. It's a simple observation. Make a note of that. And when we see that, when we discover this, there will be a sense of gratitude. And therefore, I would want to return the favor. When I recognize that you are favoring me all the time, I should want to return the favor to you. So this sense of gratitude is an important thing that we should discover in our life. More we discover the contribution that the world makes to us, more there will be a sense of gratitude in us. Niyatam kuru karmatvam, Lord Krishna says that, may you return the favor. You are receiving the favor from the rest of the world, may you return the favor. Thus, live your life in recognition of the favor that you are receiving, and may you perform your actions in the sense of gratitude to return the favor to the rest of the universe. How do I do that, Swamiji? How do I return favor to the rest of the universe? Recognize your parents and ancestors, your teachers and sages, the needy members of the other human society and other living beings. Recognize that even environment needs your support. The sun and the moon and the earth and all the elements also, they require you to serve them, nourish them, nurture them so that they can do what they are doing. Otherwise we can damage, as we know now, how by living life unintelligently, how we can damage the environment, we can damage the elements. So there is recognition of all of this in Vedanta, in the Vedas. How we should live a conscientious life. How we recognize the contribution that is being made by the rest of the universe. How we should live also a life with a sense of gratitude, returning the favor. This is called niyatam karma. So Lord Krishna says that every human being should perform an action whatever we are doing, that should be an attitude of, may this action contribute towards the prevailing harmony in the universe. May my action be in keeping with the prevailing harmony and may not violate the harmony. That is called niyatam karma. That's called duty. So you heard this word duty. So duty is an action performed with a sense of gratitude, where I want to return the favor to the rest of the universe, to my parents and ancestors, to my teachers, to other human beings, to the devatas. To other human beings, they are needy beings. In the olden days, therefore, there used to be what they call 5 Pancha Mahayajnas. So every human being was supposed to perform these 5 yajnas. But right now that may not be so, but this attitude, this appreciation of the favor which I am receiving, and the attitude of doing something by which I can return that favor. But Swamiji, I go to work. I am a professional person. In what way can I contribute to this world? Does it mean, Swamiji, that I should not draw salary? That I should work without getting any compensation? No, that's not the point. Even if you do your work sincerely, recognizing that you as an individual may be doing a little thing in the whole scheme of things, but how your work affects the whole scheme of, recognize that and having that spirit of contribution. I have told you this little anecdote of an architect. A big temple was being built. Architect who had designed the temple was once visiting how the work was progressing. And many people were working, many laborers also were working. It was a temple being made out of stone, so there were many laborers, workers who were working with the stone, breaking the stones. The architect asked one of them, so what are you doing? Breaking the stone. What, don't you see what I do? Second, what are you doing? Just doing something so to fill up my belly, that's all I'm doing. As the third person, what are you doing? I am building a temple. So this is a spirit. What are you doing? Am I doing something simply for filling my belly? Is that the role of this work that I am doing? Am I simply breaking the stones and labor is what I am doing? Or am I just doing something to fill up my belly and support my family? Or am I contributing to a larger scheme of things, which we are all doing it in fact? We are all a part of the whole universe, and even though we may be a small accountant and working in a corner, sitting in the corner office in some place and doing small little work, but everything that we do has a contribution to a larger and larger scheme of things. I mean, a small little cog in the wheel, but I have a place in the scheme of things, and therefore I recognize my place and work with that dignity, work with that recognition that I respect what I am doing. There is dignity of labor or the work that I am doing. Not necessarily arrogance, but a pride about what I am doing. And a spirit of constantly contributing that I am an accountant, Swami, that's all I do. But you are an accountant. And that's what contributes to your organization. That contributes again to the society. That contributes to the whole world. And that way, even little work that you are doing ultimately has a contribution to the whole scheme of things. Recognize your place in the scheme of things and respect that. Respect your place in the scheme of things. Have respect for what you do. Everything, every little thing that you do is very important. and thus function with the attitude of contribution, that I am contributing to the whole scheme of things. I may make this is an offering to the scheme of things, offering to my factory, offering to the organization, offering to society, offering to the world, offering to Ishvara. So we can connect even a small thing that we are doing to the totality which is called Ishvara or Bhagavan. May what I do, may it please the Lord. But Swamiji, where is Bhagavan? This whole universe is Bhagavan, the scheme of things is Bhagavan, and you are a little part of it. And you are an important part. Swami, I am nothing. I'm just nothing in the scheme of things. You are something, you are an important thing. Like in a big locomotive engine, olden days we had the steam engines. And there is a cylinder and there is a piston, and then the steam drives that piston. And that's how the whole train runs. That piston is very proud. I am running the whole train, I am pushing the train. And there is a bolt and little nut which doesn't do anything. This fellow is constantly moving, and he tells this nut, "What are you doing, you fellow? Don't do anything, just sit there." That little nut also felt very bad. Yeah, I am not doing anything. Let me also do something. So nut also started moving, turning. It turned and the piston became separated. This big thing also requires, so even a nut also has an important place in the scheme of things. Each one has, I'm not talking about being arrogant or proud. But at the same time, being that, let there be self-respect of whatever little I'm doing. Let me recognize my dignity in the scheme of things, and therefore, even if I am in an assembly line, I contribute to the whole universe. Like that person who is breaking the stone, we're building the temple, so I'm building the whole factory, I'm building. So ultimately, what you're doing is contributing to a larger scheme of things. I recognize my place in the scheme of things and I act as a contributor. That may the things that I do, may it contribute, may the scheme of things be pleased be with what I am doing. It's just a matter of attitude that changes everything. Either I am just a laborer or I am a builder of, the whole scheme of things. So Lord Krishna says, Niyatam kuru karmatvam, here Arjuna, may you perform the action which is right for you in recognition of your place in the scheme of things, and may you become a contributor in turn in order of scheme of things. Contribute to the well-being of the things. But that doesn't mean that you do something different. The attitude is different, that's all. All that is important is attitude with which you do things. Dignity for what I do, dignity of labor, respect for what I do, the spirit of doing the best that I can do. So what's the big deal? I'm just digging ditches, what is best? That also you can do the best way. Always a good way, a proper way of doing everything, whether it is digging ditches, whether it is assembling something, whether it is cooking, whether it is sweeping, whatever it is, it can always be done in the spirit of doing it well. If I have respect for what I'm doing, if I dismiss myself, I'm just a sweeper, Swami, what does it mean? I don't do it. No, a sweeper also is important. Shabri was a sweeper. She swept every day for Lord Rama for years and years together. With this devotion that Lord will come, He will be walking on this track. There should not be any pebble, there should not be any thorn on His way, so it should clear everything. He'll come and sit here, He'll clean up things, bring fresh water, fresh fruits. Don't think that Shabri brought fruits only on that day. This was she was doing for years together, waiting for Rama. How those mundane little things also became so important that even Lord Rama came to her because of this very spirit of worship. Thus, in whatever I do in our life, whether I'm a householder, whether I'm just a homemaker, what's a very important contribution. There's no need to be proud of what we are doing, but at the same time, there should be an awareness of the importance of what I'm doing. And do whatever you do it well. Niyatam kuru karmatma. So this is the attitude that Lord Krishna is teaching. This is what makes karma yoga. Karma is a duty, what I am required to do from morning till evening. What makes it yoga is not only I do it properly, but I do it with this attitude of contributing, of making the whole universe happy by what I am doing. Recognize your place in scheme of things, that you are part of the whole universe. That I am a part of a home, which is part of the society, which is part of the state, the part of the country, part of the universe. And thus, whatever I do at home also contributes. Recognize that link. See your place in the scheme of things. That how I am a part of the whole scheme of universe, which you are. So in whatever little I do as a contributor to the whole universe. Like that laborer is building a temple, not just breaking the stones. So niyatam. So this karma, the day-to-day activities that I do become then an act of worship, act of contribution, even act of worship. So may you make your actions an act of worship to the whole scheme of things which is called Bhagavan or Ishvara. In the 18th chapter, Lord Krishna says, Swakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. A person, a human being, attains perfection by performing his actions in the spirit. So this makes me a perfect person. What do you mean perfect person, Swami? The perfect person is the one who enjoys that perfect mind, who is brought about a transformation in the mind. So this very attitude brings about a transformation. Because I discover a greater and greater respect for myself. I don't measure myself by what I do, I measure myself with the attitude with which I do. Shabri does not measure herself with what she does, she measures herself by the attitude with what she does. And that's how, with that attitude, we bring about a transformation. There is a self-respect, not self-pride, but self-respect. I start respecting myself because I find that what I do is respectable. Discover that whatever I do is respectable because it is important. Whether the world considers it important or not, but let me recognize the importance of what I do as a part of the scheme of things. And more I respect what I do, more I respect myself. Discover self-respect. Discover self-acceptance. Discover self-satisfaction. How the little things that we do in our life, in day-to-day life, when we have this right attitude, how they progressively become a means of discovering satisfaction, respect for myself. My main problem is I do not respect myself. There is no great self-esteem. I do not think highly of myself. I'll discover the self-esteem, self-respect, not self-pride or arrogance, but self-respect, self-esteem, self-satisfaction. Because there is all the reason for me to be satisfied with myself. You know why? Because don't think that you and I are merely this little human being that we think we are. You are much more than that. That's what Vedanta teaches. That not, certainly you are a human being, but you are much more than that. That human being is of course a costume that you have, this body, mind, sense organs are a costume that you have. You are the one that is wearing that costume. And therefore you are different from the costume. Right now I keep on judging myself with my costume, but then I discover slowly a dimension of myself progressively that I am not just a costume, I am one who is using this costume, who is functioning through this costume. Thus, we keep on discovering different dimensions of our own self. Vedanta teaches that and basically we are ultimately limitless beings. A limitless consciousness that is manifesting through this little insignificant body-mind complex. Meaning what is manifesting through this small little body and mind is something great. But since I keep measuring myself by the body only, I think that I'm a small, insignificant creature. That is the reason why I'm not happy with myself. But I find myself a small, insignificant creature. With this attitude, when I discover more and more respect for myself, discover a greater harmony with myself, then I also discover a different dimension of myself. This process becomes a process of self-knowledge. What is self-knowledge? Self-knowledge is knowing the true nature of myself. Right now, I think that this body is what I am, or the mind is what I am, so I am as good or as big as this body or the mind, that's all I am. I discover slowly that no, this body, mind are wonderful things, but they are just my means of expression, manifestation. The body is the indweller. I am the indweller of the body, I am not the body. I see through the eyes, I hear through the ears, I function through all the organs of action and perception. I think through the mind, but the one who thinks is different from the mind, that is the instrument of thinking. This happens slowly. But how this yoga, this karma yoga or yoga of attitude, how progressively it brings about that transformation within myself and creates the ground for ultimately recognizing my true dimension progressively. Not in one day, not overnight. The transformation is a slow process. But then, even little step that I make contributes to my happiness. I discover myself more and more progressively, more and more satisfied with myself, happy with myself. That's why we began by saying that the Gita teaches us how to be happy in our life. The only way we can be happy is when we are happy with ourselves. That's the only way to be happy. Because there is no happiness anywhere else. That doesn't mean that things are useless, that the world has no purpose. It has a great purpose to serve, but it is not designed to give me happiness. Everything is designed to do its job. Air is designed to give me the breath and sustain my life. Water is designed to sustain the life. Everything has a role to play. Everything is important and useful. But they are not designed to give me happiness. You follow? The microphone has a role to play. The loudspeakers have a role to play. This display has a role to, everything has a role to play. Very important. But then they are not meant to give happiness to me. That source is only myself. And thus by this transformation slowly, I discover more and more satisfaction with myself. Even a little one can be happy with. It's not that I have to become a big man, only a millionaire or a billionaire or something in order to be happy. I can be happy as I am. Not that there's anything wrong in being a millionaire. It's all fun, wonderful, but then still I can be happy with what I am. Because happiness is my nature. That slowly becomes evident. So this can be simply the art of being happy. Karma Yoga is art of being happy. Just living the life with the right values and attitudes. Live life that Ishvara has given you. We are all placed in given situations. We are all given this body, mind, sense complex. We are all placed in different situations and we are all required to perform our roles. That's all. No role is better, no role is inferior, no role is superior. Everything is right as it is. Everything is a place, everything is right in its own place. And I am right in my own place. I don't want to become somebody else. That's our problem. We always want to become somebody else. We think that that person is happier, I want to be like that person. You don't have to be. That there is a dignity and there is recognition of myself. Nobody is superior, nobody is inferior, everybody is wonderful. The discovering self-respect, self-dignity, self-happiness, self-contentment. So this is the process that the Bhagavad Gita teaches us. In simple words, niyatam kurkarmatvam, may you perform the karma that is meant for you, which is your role in your life. And therefore, one doesn't have to become a renunciate to be happy. Doesn't have to go away someplace to be happy. Wherever I am and whatever I am doing, there is all the potential of being happy and a successful person. Because success and happiness are the same. So this is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. In the simple words, niyatam kuru karmatvam. Niyatam, what is meant for you. In short, duty. Perform your duty. Do what is right in a given situation with the right attitude. So this evening we'll take a break here and hopefully you'll get the rest of the handout tomorrow and we'll complete the remaining verses of this chapter. Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.